Welcome everyone, Lori here from the Lori Travato Show, and I haven't made a how-to video in a little while, so I decided, and I don't usually do long form videos anymore. Shorts seem to have taken off, but anyway, I wanted to because I feel like I'm missing the mark with the people that actually subscribe to me. So this is a really simple thing I do, and if you haven't noticed, I do create a lot of things that are fantasy and D&D related, RPG gaming, but the jewelry that I make tends to, in a lot of respects, be like that. So today, all I'm going to show is something really simple. This is actually a finished piece. This is a wire wrapped key pendant that you would put, a chain on, or you could create a keychain with this. Create something that you would just hang off like a backpack or a purse, like a little embellishment. I made a pin with a little, butterfly clip on the back. Again, purse, backpack, jacket, scarf, what have you. So it's uber easy. If you're a beginner to polymer clay, make sure your clay is conditioned, of course, number one. You don't need a pasta maker. You can roll it by hand, and I'm going to do that today because it's just going to be faster and with the way my camera is right now. And I'm going to assume that people, especially beginners, I'm focusing on beginners. A lot of them don't have all these tools. Now, even if you don't have a clear acrylic roller, I haven't cleaned this, so okay, no bad comments. That's not clean. I've been working all morning. Anyway, the fact that what you have on hand, don't worry if you see like these master people using these fancy like pasta machines or cutters or rollers or what have you. Improvise. Use, take one of your rollers that you use for cookie making and use that. So obviously rolling it is great because if you just pressed it with your fingers and got it flat, you'd have fingerprints all over it. So here's the deal, and this can work with anything. I'm just using keys. Believe it or not, I found these skeleton keys in this old house. So our house, and some of them came from my mom too, but we found some here. We have like a 300-year-old house. It was built in 1750, so not quite 300. Anyway, but we found some really old keys. Check this out. So the key with any kind of imprint, I don't care if you're printing keys or, okay, please don't leave me. I know people say if you talk too much, people leave. Please don't leave me. If you're doing keys or you're doing something like with like a silicone stamp that's got some dimension to it, I truly, truly have to say that no matter what it is, like the shells, you can't do this. The trick to me is two things. Do not be too thin. I know I'm not using a silicone pad. So if you've ever made cookies, I sprayed this with water before for something, and I'm going to be doing that again, and that's why it did that. So, yeah, you don't want that. Anyway, the thing is, if you baked with cookies and you have one of those silicone mats, they work great for polymer clay. My daughter has the one that I want to have back. So I'm just doing this on the table. Anyway, here we go. So not too thin. So I want you to keep this. I really think it has to be like a 1/4 of an inch. It can go thinner, but I'm going to talk about why in a second here. So keys, for example, other items like keys, there's a thickness to them. So you start imprinting in here, okay, and you use a really thin clay, you're barely going to get an imprint, and it's going to go through on the other side, and you probably don't want it to go through on the other side. Maybe that is something you want to have happen, but like, for example, this pendant here, the imprint isn't that deep, but see, it's about 1/4 of an inch. It's about a 1/4 of an inch. And it's really, honestly, at the end of the day, by the time I was done, the imprint is really not that deep. Same with this one here. about 1/4 of an inch-ish. And this one came out really good. Like this, I really love the way this one came out. Here's one here. Okay, this one isn't finished. It's actually not even baked. But and it's not even, I don't know if I'm going to leave it a bone color or I'm going to change that. And I also did like the keyholes in it as well. But I want to show you the trick. It's really important that you do this trick with anything that you're using that's ornate. And thank you to whoever the woman was who gave this trick to me months and months and months and months ago. I was making something and it was sticking like crazy. So I can't take the original credit for this trick or hack or what have you. But anyway, I'm going to show you what I do to make a pendant with a key. I'm going to do this one. And the reason I'm doing this one is I love this part here. It's really ornate, and I like the way this has like these teeth to it. So, number one, get yourself a little spray bottle. I don't recommend reusing something you had chemicals in. These are cheap enough. Get them like when you have one of those coupons from a craft store and then buy them. Or go to the dollar store. You might be able to find them at the dollar store. Spray. This is just water, just regular old water. Give your polymer clay a spray. So there's like oils, so to speak, in here. So obviously there's repelling that's happening. And it beads up. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Check out those beads, right? So it beads up. And sorry if my camera's wiggling a little. I hit it a lot. All right, here we go. So here's your key. I've been working in the garden and with inks that are black. That is not dirt, folks. I know that looks gross. It's actually ink. I'm a plant science teacher by trade, so I am always in some sort of craziness. Anyway, all right. So here's the deal. When you're putting anything in like this, again, spraying it with water. No, you don't have to have, again, if you're I'm going to zoom back out, a new person doing, and no, I didn't clean this one either. I'm not, yes, just use a little regular alcohol, and you could get that right off. So you don't have to have a block like this. You can have a block of wood, a book. Again, even a plastic thing, as long as it's gonna give even pressure. This is so you can see, well, I guess kind of see. All right, so somebody's saying that I need to show this cleaner. That's a little craziness in my brain. So this one, believe it or not, is alcohol. Yep, they look identical. Make sure you know the difference. Label your stuff. I'm just gonna spray this off camera real quick so I can clean it a little bit. Yep, get the alcohol, and the alcohol works really great for polymer clay, and it also works really great for, well, your alcohol inks that have stuck to it. I'm not going to get this perfect, but okay, that's better. All right, you ready? Okay. Now, I always try to make sure that my key has enough space on either side. I am going to explain how I make my shapes in a second. So what I'll do is I'll press it down. And again, it has to have enough thickness or it won't work, right? Okay. Now, here's the deal. The middle is thicker than the rest of it. So whatever you're working with, sorry about the camera again, you have to be mindful of that. Like my end here, this is a lot thinner than the middle part here, so the imprint isn't going to be as great. So what I tend to do is I'll go back with something hard, and it can be anything. Like it could be my bottle like this, but I like to use something a little bit smaller, and I will hold one end, and then I'll start to press, and then press, and just be really careful. And I'm only pressing this side. So I'm trying to get this side to be the same depth as this in the middle. And if you look at keys, for example, also this part, a lot of times, it's in the middle, of course, so it's not going to have as much of a in-depth imprint as well. All right. So that is a trick I think that you have to be mindful of. If you want to make sure that your imprint is deep enough so it looks really cool. So I'm going to zoom in again. So if you see, I'm going to get some sort of comment. I know your camera's wiggling. Get a different stand. I know it's on a chair, a really old chair. And be mindful. See what I did right there? I nicked it with my fingernail when I was pressing. But I tend to be like Bob Ross. I loved him when I was a little girl. And say there's only happy accidents. And, you know, old skeleton keys are going to have some nooks and crannies. And by the time this is done, it's going to have all sorts of nooks and crannies. So if you're a perfectionist, this might not be like the thing for you. But most of my work is not what I call perfect. It's imperfectly perfect because it's supposed to have that like weathered or handmade look, like it didn't come out of a mold, right? The tops are craggly. And so it's supposed to look real. I mean, it's not supposed to be just all right. 2 ways you can handle this. Number 1, you could take it out and then just do like a part of the key, right? This part. Or what I love to do, and I'm going to show you, is to do something like this. Okay? I love these. I love doing that type of a shape. So I will take a razor blade. Again, if you don't have one of these bendy things, they're about $6, okay? I think you can get them around $6. Get them with a coupon at a craft store, even cheaper. So what I do is they are razor blades and they are really sharp and they will cut you. So be mindful of that. I will eyeball it. Yes, I eyeball it. They do make a guard. I take it off because it always slips off. I know you can get some that they're on there harder, but I don't know, for some reason I don't like to use them. So you could do just like an almond, or you could do it where it's one side is like a square and the other side is tipped. I'll show you. And I tend to like this look, so let me show you. Okay. I actually like having a square base. I just think it looks, I don't know, like it's supposed to. I just think it looks really cool. Okay. Now, you might be saying, well, it's not exactly perfectly centered on there. You know what? This, again, these are handmade. And that's part of what I think is the most amazing and wonderful part about it. If you want to get a little bit more closely done, you could go back and take a little bit more off and just keep shaving till, if you are a perfectionist, you can buy like a cookie cutter or have somebody make you one. So every single time you use this key, it gets exactly right. But to me, I think that the organic, natural part about it is that it is real. It's not something that's manufactured in, you know, and if you're using this for like RPG, right, roleplay gaming, I think that the more natural it looks like somebody actually made it back in the medieval times, the better. All right, so this is where the key, no pun intended, comes in of that water, okay? So it'll pop out. And now I can keep this orange. Let's imagine I didn't want an orange and I wanted another color. Well, there's so much you can do with this, and I would recommend coloring it before with mica shift powders, because it kind of like gets inside there. You could also color it with alcohol inks or any other kinds of inks. You can paint it afterwards as well, but I'm just gonna leave it like this for now. I hope you enjoyed this little episode of my key imprint trick, and again, it's for use for anything. Thanks all. Bye.